last name with one L last night.
So does
And
everyone.
it's I'm sitting here and I'm like, because it got to a point where when I was making the graphic, I just copied and pasted it off your Instagram page. I was just like, all right, I'm going to copy it, just whatever. And then I started realizing that it was two L's, and I'm like, oh crap, I misspelled it completely forgetting that I copied and pasted off your Instagram page. And
Yeah,
so,
it's often misspelled. So
yeah, that's all good. But, I got it taken care of and all that fun stuff. So, all right, let me fix this channel. Video producer. All right, cool. So if you are ready, I will do the intro and we can jump into it.
perfect. Let's
All
do
right,
it.
awesome. All right. Welcome back to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and today we have a very special guest. We have Meg Rilley. How's it going today?
It's going great. How are you?
Doing good. I completely botched that intro, but it's okay. I'm gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah.
I've I've got so many things that require intros, and I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna botch it, and I did, but it is what it is. So, um, how have things been going? I feel like it's been a while since I've talked to you. I've had Lane on a couple of times.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
Yeah. So how are things going with you?
Good. Very busy. A lot of live performing. So like all good things.
Yeah.
It's hard to complain about all good things.
Yeah, for sure. And you got a new, well, I guess it's kind of hard to call Meg and the Boys a new band because you've been around for a bit, but I feel like this is kind of your first step into making it like an official project. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah, we've
Okay.
always been well for a couple of years now. It's been I guess the live show has been
Yeah.
Meg and the Boys
Yeah.
for a couple of years now, but this is the first time that we've all done our own respective parts of the song. So of
Yeah.
the release music.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I like the couple times that we've talked or I've seen you posting on social media and whatnot, it's like I've always seen the live shows as Meg and the Boys, and I never knew how to introduce anyone. I was just like, all right. But excited to have you back on. And so you're based out of Nashville now, since it's been a little bit for everybody that's just kind of getting to meet you. And we've got a whole bunch of new fans since I want to say it's probably been about 2 years since we've had you on.
Does it really? Oh my
I,
goodness. I was
I,
gonna say one, so but I believe
I
you.
feel I feel like that's about where it's at. But what's kind of your background? What got you into music?
So I am originally from northern New Jersey.
Okay.
I moved to Nashville about 8 years ago. I sat down and did the math the other day and didn't love it, but it's been about 8 years here. I started out doing music relatively young. I had joined my church choir, and then started playing guitar not too long after. Well, playing is a strong word. I started learning guitar not too long after.
Okay.
I started writing music around like fifth or sixth grade. So when I graduated high school, I moved to Nashville. That was kind of always the next step for me. And I've been here ever since. So,
Awesome. So how does one survive 8 years in Nashville?
oh, great question. If you've met someone who has, let me know. I don't even know. Just a lot of perseverance, I guess.
Yeah.
Being able to ride the highs and the lows, just letting those roll off your back. It's definitely been a process because also 3 of those years were COVID. So that was just weird in general.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those years, I guess not really, more like
Okay.
1.5 to 2 of those years were COVID, which was weird, but we were all just kind of managing to get along. I was very thankful that I was able to stay in Nashville because I know a lot of my friends ended up having to move somewhere, having to go somewhere else just because it was really difficult around here.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it
When
was
it's
difficult.
Yeah, well, and especially around that time, like specifically during the pandemic, I feel like Nashville just got hammered, like with other stuff. Like there was the tornado that hit right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic, and then you had the bomb, and then there's been
Yeah, it
all
was just
kinds
one
of
after another here.
yeah. So it's the fact that you've been able to, I don't want to say the fact that you've been able to survive 8 years in Nashville. That sounds like Nashville is some like war-torn country or something, which it isn't. It's actually a really cool city. But just like the hardships of being a musician in Nashville and just being able to persevere is absolutely amazing. So
Thank you. I also think it's amazing. Don't know how it's happening.
Gotcha. Oh, and so you didn't end up going back to New Jersey at all during the pandemic?
Nope, no, I stayed here through the whole thing. I'm just kind of hunkered down in here and
Yeah.
live life day to day.
Because I remember the first, actually, so I remember the first time that I had you on the podcast. It was mid-pandemic, probably like early pandemic. So I had you on, and then I had Leighton on, and I I think you had mentioned something about, you may have mentioned something about him, and I was like, wait a minute, I have a podcast with him the next day, and then he came on, and it was essentially in the same room,
I
but
think it was.
he just kind of moved the computer over, like he was trying to hide the fact that you guys weren't living together or something. And I was just like, oh, that's very funny. Or maybe it
Don't
was
worry,
vice
I'll
versa. I
argue with
don't.
him about that later.
Yeah, I don't remember. And maybe it was vice versa. I don't remember. But it was just kind of like one of you came on first, and then the second person like moved the computer like you were in a completely different part of the room. And I'm like, wait a minute, I remember that tie-dye, like you had a tie-dye something in the back, and I'm like, okay. So that was quite funny. I found humor in that one.
That's fair. It probably was really funny.
So so how the show's been going in Nashville?
Pretty good. Yeah. We're playing around like, I guess around 4 times a week on average,
Mhm.
which is really good. We're doing a solid, I would say we're doing a decent job of balancing
Mhm.
playing some cover gigs for money and then also doing the original music work that we really love doing
Yeah.
and is the original music. So
Gotcha. And how much of it is it all exclusively Meg and the boys, or are y'all still doing like your solo stuff as well on the side?
yeah, I mean each of us are in like a couple different projects.
Yeah.
I know Leighton's in a few bands. Marcus is my drummer is currently actually on tour with Olivia Jean. So
No, nice.
he's, oh my gosh, he's killing it. And he's in 1,000 bands when he's here. Alex is in a bunch of bands. So we're all like doing various things.
Hmm.
But yeah, when we perform, it's me and the boys.
Okay, gotcha. Because I figured in a city, because I like when I go visit my buddies back in New Mexico, they're all in like 3 or 4 projects, and that's Roswell, New Mexico, where they have 6 bands maybe in the entire town, and
We are the
it's
band.
we used to make a joke that every band in Roswell was the same band, but it was just a different person playing different instruments. So it was like, okay, so and so's playing drums in this one, and then he's playing bass, and so it was just like they just switch instruments. It was quite interesting. So, um, awesome. So how did Meg and the boys kind of start up? I don't think I've ever officially asked anybody that question.
That's fair. So how did it kind of start? So I guess it was a few months before the pandemic that I had been asked for my first like full band show.
Mhm.
And I knew a drummer was a really good friend of mine. So he was like, I'll play drums. A good friend of mine and a co-writer at the time was a great guitar player. So he said that he would play guitar. And then I didn't have a bassist. So I posted on my Instagram, love the 21st century, and just said, I'm looking for a bassist for a full band gig. And Leighton actually reached out. We had recently met at a writer's round. And he said that he played bass and would be happy to. So he started playing bass. And then we started getting asked for more and more gigs. The drummer at the time actually ended up going on tour with Priscilla Block
Mhm.
and was her drummer for a long time. So I had to find somebody else. And Leighton was like, well, I know a drummer from when he used to work at Guitar Center who's very talented. And that is how I met Marcus.
Hmm.
And Marcus was fantastic. And then Micah who was the guitar player, moved to Alabama.
Mhm.
So my friend Wes stepped in to play guitar, and then Wes decided that he was going to take a step back. So Leighton is actually primarily a guitar player. So I had him move over to guitar, and Marcus lived with Alex, who was a bass player. So we just slid him right in. And from that moment, we were Meg and the boys, and that was that.
Mhm. And so now you're a 4-piece, or are you 4-piece? Okay. Yeah, because it's so interesting, because it's like you have so much rotation around, and because obviously some people are like, oh, I want to pursue something different. You kind of go through that growing pain as a band. and it's always interesting to see what lands and sticks. So for Meg and the Boys, you got a new single dropping Friday. Yeah, Friday. I have to remember what day it is. It's been a month where it's like I've completely forgot that like it's mid-May already, and I'm like,
Oh my
well,
goodness. Yeah. The last month has not been real.
yeah. And my dad just called me. He's like, "Hey, so what are you doing for your birthday?" And I'm like, "Wait, I got a birthday coming up. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna be working. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Yes, 100%. So, yeah. So it's been a month. So let's talk about the new single you got dropping. Is this the first official release of Meg and the Boys?
Yeah, so this will be under my name and then featuring Meg and the Boys.
Okay,
And I'll be able to make all their streaming profiles and all that fun stuff.
gotcha.
And then 2 more singles coming out throughout the year.
Okay,
That will also be both.
gotcha. So you're gonna just keep it under Meg Riley, and is the plan to eventually make like an official Meg and the Boys like Spotify
So,
page or whatever?
so since wasn't one previously, and
Yeah,
I wanted it to be both artists,
yeah.
I couldn't do both the first time around. I had to make it a feature. So they'll be featured on this first track. It'll be under Meg Riley and featuring Meg and the Boys, and then I'll be able to make all of their streaming profiles because there will be music out there
Mhm.
linked to them. And then from there on out, it will be Meg Riley, comma Meg and the Boys. So it'll be a
Okay,
dual track.
gotcha. You're giving me an education on how Spotify works because I have not a clue.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm I'm learning as I go here.
Yeah, it's like I I have a podcast out there, and it's like I claimed it. That's all I know or what I did. I claimed it. So it is, Spotify is an interesting beast in and of itself. So this new single, Below Average. Yep, I should probably introduce the name of the song. Below Average. What's the story behind the song?
So below average is it's fun and it's tongue in cheek and it's energetic and it's powerful. It's kind of like a moment of I won't allow myself to be taken advantage of.
Mhm.
And if you think you're going to take advantage of me, you better be ready for the heat. Like don't come into the kitchen if you can't take the heat because I can cook.
Mhm.
So it's kind of one of those types of moments. I wrote it actually with Leighton Thomas and
Mhm.
Wes Harmon and Joey Lamping, 3 fantastic friends of mine. And then the boys kind of brought it to life when we started playing it live. And then we were playing it live for, I don't even know how long now,
Mhm.
probably about 1.5 years now. Audiences seem to love it, and they were asking us to release it. So got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you knew what I was going to ask. I was literally about to ask how often are you playing this song out live, or if it's something that people have heard, but you've kind
Oh
of
yeah.
answered that already. So why did you choose this song to be the first song to kind of represent what Meg and the Boys is?
I think it's a nice little bridge from what I was doing as a solo artist to kind of how the sound has grown and changed a little bit. I would say our genre as a band is rock, and I'm very
Mhm.
happy about that. I love the sound that we've developed.
Mhm.
As opposed to if you listen to my first EP, I would say it borders more between like country and southern rock.
Mhm.
So it's gotten a little more heavy, but I think the song and the production bridges that gap relatively nicely.
Gotcha. So you're kind of walking away from the country side of things.
I mean, I still love the country side of things, and
Yeah.
obviously it's always good. Like there's no way to fight the fact that it will continue to be an influence in
Yeah.
how I write and create music because
Yeah.
it's been that influence since I was born.
Yeah.
So so there's not going to be any denying that aspect of things. But in terms of just what I would say if someone asked me what my genre is today, it would be rock.
Yeah. Perfect. That's always good. It's always good to have rock bands in the back pocket because uh, I haven't said this officially yet, but I will go ahead and say it now. Uh, we are bringing back our rock radio show that we did in 2021. So I I've been sitting here for like the last 3 weeks secretly messaging rock bands like, "Hey, You have any new music? Like bands that I haven't talked to in like 6 months. It's like, hey, you got any new music? And that feels so weird to like ask because it's like they're actively on my Instagram or my Facebook, and I should be able to like pay attention. But when you have 4,000 musicians just constantly flooding your feed, it's like somebody's
Just
going
wait.
to fall by the wayside. Yeah. So yeah. But with this new single, Below Average, you've done a very good job promoting it and giving it a visual from what I've seen, a visual representation. Are you working on a music video for it, or was it just kind of the photo shoot and that's what it is?
So we did the photo shoot. There's no music video right now.
Okay.
I think we're going to kind of see how it hits initially,
Mhm.
and then kind of make that call from there.
Okay.
So right now it's not in the plans. Our friend Chloe did all the photos,
Yeah.
and she did a fantastic job. The photo shoot
Yes.
was so much fun. We made such a mess, but it was such a good time. So we really love the way those photos came out. They feel like they show our personality a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I like, especially like the one where it seems like the three guys are heads are laying on top of each other, and then you've got your like high heel, just kind of,
Yeah, so that's the cover art for the song. So that one's really exciting. That was actually an idea that I had going in. I was like, I think I know what the cover art has to be.
yeah,
I think I need to just be standing on the boys' heads.
that's funny.
And he was so great at making that happen. And the boys were overwhelmingly eager to be laying on the floor.
All right. I don't, okay. Fair enough. Very fair. Very fair. But yeah, just kind of like the fact that, because I think that's something that a lot of independent musicians kind of gloss over, is not having a, even if it's not like a music video, but having a physical representation of what the song is, like whether it's cover art or just a photo shoot or whatever, because now you have something you can look at and be like, okay, if we do want to make a music video, at least we have a starting off point of where we want to go. Or even like nowadays, yeah, music videos are still really cool, but lyric videos are just as cool. Like I've seen some people doing like really cool things with lyric videos. So, yeah, at least you've kind of got an idea out there. Um, so with Below Average, you're coming up on 3 days before it releases. What's running through your mind right now?
I'm just so excited. We have a release show on Thursday with three other bands that I'm so excited to hear and to have there to support us. So that's going to be so much fun. And I'm just really excited for the song to be out. It was such a, it takes a village kind of thing in creating it in the final product. And I think it sounds good. I think it's really fun. I know I've said this in the past about other things I've released, but more than ever, I feel like this is one of those songs that you just want to like turn up really loud when you're driving in your car on the highway. Like it's just one of those.
Fair. I just pulled up the graphic for this show on the 18th. You have Leighton pulling double duty on that show?
Oh, I do. Yeah. He's gonna close out the show with some of his original music, which he's very excited about. So
Gotcha. I was sitting there, I was like, wait a minute, is that why she doesn't want to say who the bands are? Because she's got
oh no, I'm happy to say who the bands are.
yeah,
It's Press Pause
yeah,
and Vern, who are two amazing rock bands. Well, Vern's a little more punk, actually,
yeah.
pop punk. But and Press Pause is actually one of the co-writers on the song, which is why I
Gotcha.
wanted
Yeah.
to play
Yeah,
the
for sure.
show.
For sure. You brought up one of the bands being more pop punk. And when I first started seeing Meg and the Boys come out, that's where I kind of thought you guys were going to start playing, was more of a punk sound. Because I
Yeah.
feel like some of the stuff that I heard, that's kind of where it leaned. But you're saying you've kind of pulled it more into the rock side of things.
Yeah, when we actually started playing together as a full band and doing like cover shows, we ended up
Mm,
getting asked for a lot of like emo nights, like pop
mm,
punk sets
yeah,
of like 4 hours of covers of pop
yeah,
punk covers, which was a lot of the music we grew up on. Like we had no problem doing that
yeah.
because we love that music. And we still do some of them every once in a while when we get asked to do them. So a lot of people actually come up to me and say, I always assumed you guys were a pop punk band
Yeah.
because that was the first things they saw of us.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not so much I assume that's what you're going to be. It's just I thought that's where you were heading. Like, I mean, obviously bands, they merge and change sounds and the styles and stuff as like bands kind of progress. I mean, take a look at insert any band here, you know. So that they all kind of go through a maturing of like what they want their sound to be. So, which is really cool. So with Below Average coming out here in the next couple of days, and you said you have a couple of more singles in the back pocket.
Yes, we're gonna have 2 more singles coming out throughout the year.
Okay.
The one probably late summer, and then one again in late fall.
Cool. Is the plan to do it like an album, or you just kind of stay singles?
Yeah, right now we're just gonna stick with rolling singles, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and kind of see what Meg and the Boys becomes, and
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously done a really good groundwork building the band itself by doing like the emo nights and whatnot. And obviously we've talked about it a little bit before, where the band's kind of gone through a transformation of like as far as lineup goes. And I guess technically style of music, but I think that's just you were asked to play this and it's like, okay, it's not hard, so
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. And so just kind of moving forward, what's your show? Obviously, you got the show on Thursday. How often, or how many more shows you got booked out with Meg and the Boys right now?
Oh, a bunch. We're always playing.
Is it
Um,
around? Is it around Nashville, or are you guys like starting to branch out and go into like Kentucky or down to Georgia? Or
so last year we played some like in actually Alabama, and then a little in Florida, and then we did like an acoustic thing in like the Northeast.
Mhm.
There'll probably be another acoustic thing in the Northeast coming soon. But yeah, so a little bit outside right now so far, at least this calendar year so far, we're pretty much in Nashville right now.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, it's all because, like, I mean, I feel like Nashville's in a really cool space where it's a big enough city where you can play multiple times a night and still not kind of dilute your, or not multiple times a week, not multiple times a night. You have to be insane.
I was
But
like, okay.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that play multiple times a night. I'm sure. Yeah. But anyways, so you can play multiple times a week and not oversaturate yourself. But it's also close enough to some bigger cities where if you're willing to drive 2 or 3 hours, you're in a whole new
Yeah.
area. Because like I mean, you go up to like Bowling Green, Kentucky, you go out to Louisville, down to what's Atlanta's what 4 hour? Yeah. But anyways, regardless,
Yeah.
like within 3 or 4 hour drive, you're in a completely different part of the country. So
Yeah, we did a New Year's show actually in Kentucky that was a lot of fun.
nice.
Can't even remember. It was like a country club.
Okay. Nice. Where was it, in like Bowling Green, or was it more? Do you
I think it was, if it wasn't in Bowling Green, it was very close, like on the
wait?
outskirts.
Did you guys play T-Bulls? Because I feel like that's the only real like big place that a lot of bands from Nashville go to if they're going to go to Bowling Green.
No, I don't think so, but
Okay.
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah. I lived in Bowling Green for like 9 months, and that's the only place that I can remember that actually like played music. So it was just kind of like, oh, you went to T-Bulls? No, went somewhere. Okay, I was only there for 9 months. So, but yeah. So obviously, you're very busy with a lot of music related stuff. You're doing the band, Meg and the Boys, and then you're still playing with yours. Still kind of doing your solo stuff as it permits and whatnot. How do you kind of balance all that and then still have a personal life with like getting out with friends and all that? How do you kind of balance everything?
I don't.
Okay. That's a fair answer.
Short answer is I don't. I would definitely say I'm very lucky to have so many great friends and chosen family in the music space.
Mhm.
So like my boys are chosen family at this point. So luckily work is also getting to hang out with my closest friends, which is nice. And the people that I am closest to, my closest girlfriends, like they're all musicians. So I'm able to go out and just watch them perform and support them in that way. It's fortunate because I don't know if I would be able to balance it
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
If they weren't, if we
Yeah.
had to make extra time somewhere, because I don't have much of it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's one of those things where luckily your job and the thing you love to do happen to be the same thing. You've kind
Oh,
of found this happy medium. And then a lot of your friends, or a lot of your friends are musicians, and then I'm sure the rest of your friends at least go to shows, or at least enjoy going to shows and whatnot, that if they're not musicians. So it's kind of a cool, I guess that's the effect of Nashville, maybe the
yeah,
perk
for
of being
sure.
in Nashville. Yeah,
And that being said, like there's definitely difficult aspects.
yeah.
Like my whole family is still in New Jersey.
Hmm.
And that gets hard, like my cousin just recently had her first baby, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. And all I want to do is watch her grow up. And I'm doing it through pictures, which is like part of it, that's
Yeah,
part of the catch 22.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
but
going through the.
I know that they love me and support me, and they know that I am constantly there in spirit.
Mhm.
So
I'm currently going through that. My sister had a daughter about 9 months ago. Yeah, about 9 months ago, and it's just kind of like, I'm not moving back. Sorry, like I want to be
I
there.
know it's awful.
It's
It's
like,
awful those questions.
yeah, I'll try and move closer. Like if I, the funny thing is if I moved to Nashville, it'd make things so much easier because I'm literally in Nashville. I'd be 10 hours from my dad and 7 hours from my sister. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm literally right in the middle, right? And right now to get to my dad, it's a 20 hour, no, maybe not 20 hours, but depending on where in Florida my dad is, it's 20 hours. And then to get to my sister, it's 14. So it's just kind of like, yeah, it's a bit of a drive. So
Long drives all around.
yes, because I don't like to fly. I mean, I will fly, but I don't like to do it. So
Oh,
it's,
I hate flying. I will die on the hill that is nope. Don't
yeah.
like driving. Don't like flying.
And it's so funny because my dad's a pilot, so it's like we flew all the
Oh,
time as kids. But now it's just like it's so like you go on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok and you see passengers exploding at one another and big fights and all this stuff breaking out, and I'm like, yeah, at least with the car I can get away. If something like that happens, all I got to do is drive away, and that's it.
that's
So
fair. My issue is absolutely just irrational fear.
okay,
I think that tube's going down.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough. There's definitely been some airplanes I've been on where it's like this should not be in the air right now, but that's
This is
just yeah, not wanting to pay for a proper seat, so I'm gonna go pay that $40 to get on a cheap
oh
airline.
yeah.
So yeah, so, but not to bash the airline industry. I'm sorry, Dad.
Sure, you're doing great work.
Yeah, but it's always interesting to travel. So outside of music, I mean, obviously you said you don't really have much time outside of music, but what's new with you outside of music? What have you been into recently?
Great question. Great question. I don't know. I actually just this is gonna sound lame. I planted flowers, like seeds of
Yeah,
flowers. So I'm excited for my flower bed to start sprouting.
nice,
Uh, that's very exciting. I'm trying strawberries. I've never
nice.
tried to grow strawberries. I'm not confident in myself to grow strawberries. I also think I started too late in the season,
Fair enough.
but
I
I'm going to go and see what happens.
Yeah,
I also have 3 guinea pigs, so they are constantly making a mess, and I'm cleaning up after them.
fair, fair. I had a hamster when I was young, and I when I first had it, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna have hamsters for the rest of my life. These things are amazing. And then the one that I had broke out like every other day. Like it would just pop the lid off the thing,
Wow.
and it like would come back from somewhere and it'd be like, okay, the hamster's missing. Let's go find the hamster. And then it'd be like,
An outdoor hamster.
yeah. And then we'd have to go find the dog because chances are the dog had it cornered
Oh
somewhere.
no.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. It's after that, I was just like, yeah, I'm good on hamsters. Like,
No need.
yeah. Next time it runs away, I'm going to just open the door and say, run free, little one. You don't want to be in your
Not what
home.
you've always wanted.
Yeah. So, but no, that's cool. Yeah, I completely understand. I tried planting early on during the pandemic, except I realized plants need one thing to live, and that's sunlight. And because I was growing them out on my back deck here, but it gets no sunlight back there, or at least
Oh no.
no direct sunlight. Like obviously it gets sunlight back there, but I was sitting there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this here because it gets like I would see the sun like sprinkle through the trees or whatever. I was like, all right, great, perfect. And they would grow just a little bit, but they'd never actually sprout. And
Oh
I
yeah.
was asking people, I was like, why is this happening? They're like, because you're not getting them enough sunlight. And I'm like, shit, okay, fine. So,
But they're outside.
yeah, they're outside. Come on, guys. And so I stopped after that.
Fair.
But awesome. So what we're gonna do, I got a fun little game. I think this is new since you were last on. Let me find this app. Okay. So it's called That's So Random. I have a random question generator, and I'm going to ask you, say, 10 random questions, and we will see where we're at the end of it.
Okay.
All right. So you ready for That's So Random?
I'm ready.
Awesome. What is the best animated film?
I love Spirited Away.
Is that a Disney, or what film is that?
It's a Studio Ghibli film.
Okay.
I really love it. I remember I had actually seen it the first time when I was relatively young, and I didn't really get it. It was like too artsy for me. I was just like, oh, an animated movie.
Yeah.
So I just watched it, and it was weird, and I didn't get it, and I didn't even like it at the time. And then I watched it again a few years later, and I was like, oh no, I love this movie.
Fair. Very fair. We kind of talked about this already, but what is your biggest irrational fear?
I mean, probably airplanes. I'm also scared of bugs. I'm also really scared of dying. Those are my top three. Those are the three canon fears of mine.
Fair. What is your go-to sandwich shop?
Okay, Duke's. Duke's is in East Nashville, and they are open until like 3 a.m. And they're a bar, and they have a deli, and they
Okay.
make the best sandwich ever.
Hey, sometimes the like bar wineries that have like a little bistro or something attached to it, you come out of there with some killer sandwiches. And it's
Oh yeah,
like you just sit there and make food for drunk people all night, and you just kind of come up with the best food.
it
That's
doesn't
amazing.
have to be this good.
Yeah. It's just bread on or meat on bread, call it a day. They're drunk. They're not going to notice. What do you do when you get happy?
I like to dance. I love dancing. I love just dancing around like an idiot.
Okay. Uh, you're a reverse burglar. This is where the randomness starts to come into play. You're a reverse burglar. You don't steal, but you give.
Okay.
But all right, you don't steal, you give, but you still cause your victims to suffer. What do you give them?
Oh, what an interesting question. Okay. I still cause them some form of discomfort or pain or something.
Yes.
Okay. Can I like replace? Like replace an
No,
item?
you're kind of just
Like
giving them
that.
some. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I guess I'd put like one of those like just like a little device that like causes one of those like high pitched like noises, like just like a beep or something.
Yeah.
And I'd hide it somewhere ridiculous, like in the back of a cabinet, but it wouldn't go off all the time. It would just be going off sometimes. So like they just think they're going crazy.
Fair. Very fair. That question used to be worded different, where it was basically instead of giving them something, you were taking something that would only slightly inconvenience people. So
That's a good one.
like a lot of the answers were taking the foot off of one side of the chair or like one leg of the chair,
Oh,
so it
that's a good one.
never sits even, or taking the back of the remote controller off so the battery always falls out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I kind of wish they still had that question, but they don't. In your opinion, what is the largest way people waste money?
Oh no. The largest way people waste money. Oh no, I don't want people to not like me.
Right.
Personally, however you want to spend your money is totally fine with you. But for me, I wouldn't spend money to go to Disney World by myself.
By yourself, okay.
By
That's
myself,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah, by yourself, that's very fair. Very fair. I've done that a couple of when I interned for Disney, I did that a couple of times where I went by myself, and it's like it's not as fun. It's like I'm just going there to do things and I'm by myself. It's not really as fun. Or it's not as fun. So I get what you're saying at. Now, if you just said not going to Disney,
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if you're going by yourself, I just feel like that takes half the experience away.
Yeah, for sure. All right. You inherit your own island. What do you name it?
What do I name it? I don't know. I want to come up with something like tropical, and I'm not good at that. My own island, I guess. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I'm at a complete blank right now. What would I name an island?
Meg Island?
That's
I feel like
fair.
that's like a layup, but
Megapolis.
yeah, fair. All right. We'll move on to the next question then. Uh, what is something you could talk about nonstop for an hour without any actual preparation?
Any actual preparation?
Yeah, like you just get asked to come up and speak about it for an hour. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could probably talk about sitcoms forever, whether it be Friends or Schitt's Creek or The Office. Like, I would just continuously talk about things that everyone already knows, but I've seen 1,000. New Girl, like any of them. I just put on mindless television all the time.
If you had to guess, how many all-nighters have you pulled in your life?
Not too many. I
Huh?
am big on my sleeping. I can think off the top of my head of two.
Okay.
So I'll go with a solid, could count them on one hand.
Fair. I was sitting here, I was waiting, like you're a musician in Nashville. I was waiting for this week, 6, or just some absurd number. So
No, if I get home at 3 a.m. after the gig, I'm going to bed. Like,
yeah, it's fair. So final question. I think this is kind of a good one. Who is the most interesting person you've met on your travels?
most interesting person I've met on my travels.
As a weird way they worded it, but I'm reading it as it sits. So,
But I know what they mean, and that's, gosh, these are fantastic questions that I am in no way, shape, or form prepared for. The most interesting person. I don't know about like the most interesting person. But I have in my experience, like when I was playing in New Jersey a lot, I played at a lot of American Legions in the area, and those men always had the most exciting stories, and they were very engaging people to talk to. And they were always fantastic. I would also probably say I have been very fortunate to have incredible mentors in my life who I find to be honestly the most interesting people that I can talk to for hours. So my vocal coach, Keaton Douglas, from when I was younger, was a super interesting person, very devoted to her faith, very devoted to helping people who are in very bad situations, get out of those situations, like would give anyone the shirt off her back. Same with Roseanne Hutman, who was my guitar teacher, my first choir teacher, like is my dearest friend to this day. She has lived more lives than most people.
yeah.
And each of them more interesting than the last.
And then just because this should be a short answer, easy answer, do you prefer beaches, mountains, or lakes?
Beaches. I want to be someone who prefers mountains. I really do. When it comes down to it, there's something about the ocean that just pulls me in.
Mhm. And it's kind of funny that they worded it that way because to me, it's like beaches and lakes are kind of the same thing, but I get what they're saying.
I understand what they're saying. They're a little different. Like I love the ocean. I do love mountains too. Like put me in either and I am golden.
Mhm.
But if I had to choose one, like forever, there's just something about the ocean.
For me, it'd have to be lakes. Like you put me on a nice little piece of lakefront property and I'll live there for the rest of my life happier than a clam.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's like the beach, I feel like there's too much natural disasters, like too many natural disasters to worry about.
That is fair. I guess I wasn't thinking about that. I think my parents would probably choose lakes too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Cause I grew up on lakes, so it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm comfortable there. So yeah.
Feels like home.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So kind of moving on, obviously, you got the new single dropping on Friday. You got your show on Thursday, so you got a busy week coming up. What's one piece of advice you have for the young musicians out there?
Um, don't let the negativity get to you. Your art isn't going to be for everyone, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Honestly, like no art is for everyone, regardless of the type of art. No art is for everyone. There's people who don't get the Mona Lisa. Like it's okay.
Mhm.
Your art isn't going to be for everyone and shouldn't be for everyone. If it
Yeah,
is, it's not genuine. So just let the negativity roll off. It's
yeah,
fine. It's okay. For every negative comment, I promise you're gonna get 5 positive ones.
yeah,
So just let it ride.
yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. And then obviously preparing to release a single for a band versus your solo project is probably a bit different. What's one thing you've taken away from the entire experience of preparing to release this single?
Content creation is so hard. The people who do it for a full-time job, I admire them. Just trying to keep up with the vast amount of social medias there are and the different kind of content each one demands is exhausting in and of itself.
Yeah. And it's an interesting and a very annoying science. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
some kind of weird science behind it because like I did a video over the weekend that blew up, or I'm not going to say blew up, but did really well on Instagram. And
Yeah.
it was just me sitting there talking to my phone, bitching about something probably. And, so I put it up there and it did really well on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put it up on YouTube Shorts. Didn't really do anything on YouTube Shorts. And I'm like, okay. And then I put it up on TikTok. It did absolutely nothing on TikTok. And I'm like, okay, why did it work so well on Instagram, but not TikTok or Instagram Shorts? I didn't really check Facebook, but you know, it's kind
Yeah,
of dumb.
it's hard. Each algorithm is different.
Yeah,
And it's so hard to like get into each one
yeah,
at the right spot,
yeah,
especially as someone who like never wanted to be a content creator.
yeah.
Like it's
And
hard.
yeah. And then just for giggles on Saturday, I did a react video for like it's not even on the like a live and amplified YouTube page. It's just some like random offshoot YouTube page that I have. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a react video just to see how it does. And it's just getting views over views. And I'm like, this makes no sense. I literally sat here for 20 minutes recording it, and then it took me another 20 minutes to edit. So for 40 minutes, and I'm just getting views over views. But I go into like live and amplified stuff and I spend hours, days, weeks working on these videos and it does nothing. This makes no sense to me. And I'm so,
Yeah, it's hard.
so it's just kind of like, all right, react videos. That's where we're going now. Let's do that. That sounds like a plan.
New brand.
Yes. Live and amplified stuff. No, I never, never, never. That would be very bad if I did that. So, but it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. Hopefully when I come out to well, it's still about 60-40 if I'm gonna make it or not, because it's a Thursday, so it's just kind of like, okay, can I get off of work? All that fun stuff. And going through, I don't know, just the idea of CMA Fest does not sound like the funnest. Having to go like downtown during CMA Fest is just kind of like, do I really want to do that?
I would admire it if you did, though.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna find out what hotel it's at, and then I'm gonna just kind of go on Google Earth and just kind of scope out the hotel and be like, okay. And that's like the weirdest thing that I do is if I'm going somewhere and I've never been there, I'll go on Google Earth and just kind of scope the entire place out. Like I'm some kind
Just
of
walk through on the down the road.
yeah. I'll just kind of walk down the road and it's like, okay, it looks like they got parking over here, they got parking over there. Okay, let's get around to the back side of the building. It's like I'm preparing to break and enter into this place, and it's like, no, I don't like going somewhere and not knowing like where to park or how far I'm gonna have to walk to park, and yeah. So, but anyways, it's been an absolute blast. For anybody that wants to pre-save your link, if you are listening now live, I threw it in the comment or in the chat section. But if you're listening, after not live, it'll be in the description below. Pre-save for below average, it's in there. Please do that. Help out Meg and the boys. That is such the perfect band name because it's like it's an easy transition where it's like, yeah, help out Meg and the boys, and it
Yeah,
works.
that wasn't like something I came up with. Someone had asked me, they were like, I'm gonna put you on the flyer, like what's the band name? And I was like, I mean, there's not really a band name, it's just gonna be me and the boys. And she was like, perfect.
Meg and the boys. I was gonna because something I was thinking about asking was what was like some of the band names that you were looking at, or was it just kind of like Meg and the boys and
Yeah,
that
there
was
wasn't
that?
any names or anything. Someone just asked me like, what should I put on this flyer? And I was like, I don't know, like it's just gonna be me and the boys. And she was like, perfect. And then she sent me the flyer and it said Meg Rilley and the boys. And I was like, perfect.
Cool, sweet. Hey, it works out like that. But if they want to, if anybody wants to check out your social media, interact with you, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
I mean, I'm on all the social medias. I'd say Instagram is probably my preferred social media platform, but I'm on all of them at Meg Rilley. Riley spelled with two L's, so Rilley. And then Meg and the Boys is on Instagram and Twitter, and it's at meg.and.theboys.
Awesome, awesome. I told you about Trump misspelling your last name like a whole bunch of times, but anyways, it yeah, Instagram handles are always fun. But anyways, once again, Meg, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Absolutely enjoyed chatting with you, and hopefully we'll get to meet here in a couple of weeks when I come up in June. If not, I'll be up there in July at some point. My dad's, like I said, staying in Kentucky, so he's trying to get me to come up like every other week, and I'm like, it's like a 10-hour drive to get to get up to you. So maybe we'll see. But
Well, I look forward to it, and thank you so much for having me.
yep, absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later. Cool. Let me stop this.